Alright, this is a little something I wanted to show off that I've been working on. I've been working on a, let's see here, how to explain this. It's basically an automatic welding gantry. It's almost like a 3D printer. So we have a Z-axis right here. We have an X-axis right here. And down here we have a Y-axis. Now I can manually control this, just by reversing the pistons like so. And there goes the X, and there goes the Z. Okay, and I obviously have a welder on the end of it. Now, that's all fine and dandy. Let's retract everything. What I've done is I've written some code, a lot of code actually. Well, it's really not that much code. I've written all this code here, a programmable block, and I've turned this guy into a 3D printer. Now I'm actually going to weld this up. I don't have a merge block on this thing, and you also have to be kind of careful. So this basically does a pattern. What it's going to do is it's basically going to position that head on each block. I have a grid of 6 by 6 and 6 up. Think of a cube of 216 blocks in it. This welder head will actually hit all 216 blocks, and in theory would weld them. But I have the welder turned off at the moment, so this is just kind of a demonstration. We got to hit this button to put it in the starting position, so we'll do that. And then when we hit this button here, this thing's going to be fully automated. We'll watch this. There it goes. So it's doing the first row, and it moves up, starts coming back. So what we're doing is we're doing this first set of blocks all the way up to the top, just like a 3D printer might do, or in CNC, right? So in theory this would be welding up whatever blueprint we have here that's being projected. I think we got one more row to go here before it moves back. Oh, and on the LCD display we can see real-time status of each block that's being welded. And we can see that we're on block 42, 43 of 216. And it tells us what percentage is complete. I didn't get around to rounding that yet. So it's going to work its way back, and it'll be finished when all 216 blocks are welded up. And how does it know it's welded up all the blocks? Well, it doesn't really. I'm basically accounting for every length, width, and height on the block. And after all my counters done, it knows it's finished, and you'll see it go to a finished position when it's done. So we're about 40% complete here. This is so cool. The reason I built this is I've got this big ship that I'm making that has a large hangar inside of it, and I want to put one of these welding gantries inside the hangar so that it can print 3D ships. Now, yes, I recognize this is not the most efficient way to print or weld up a ship. This is more of a neat thing. I wanted to see if I could make this thing work. This is exactly what I had envisioned. Now, I will say I did actually try to weld something up with it, and the welding head actually hit part of what got welded. I guess it wasn't positioned right, and it kind of blew apart. I may have to do some tweaking to actually get this thing to weld up something for real, but I just love watching this. This is just so cool. Yes, it does take a while, but I kind of like that too, right? To me, it seems a little bit more realistic than like the instant weld that other people do in their projects. 70%. Actually, I just realized that I actually have the welder turning on. You can see the red lights flashing on there. That means the welder is actually being turned on, but this projection doesn't have a merge block on it, so it's not actually welding anything up. If it did have one, this would be doing some interesting stuff. It probably would be blowing apart right now. Almost at the end here. And watch the LCD display here. You're going to see it complete in a moment. When it gets to the last block, and the whole thing will retract and go to a finished position. I love the sound effects from the pistons too. It just sounds so cool. Sounds like a factory actually producing something. Alright. Actually, I didn't have to retract to the finished position because that's actually the last position. If I mess with the settings and set it to only weld like 20 blocks, you'll see it go and retract to here when it's done. But you see we're 100% finished, 100% complete. Everything's retracted. If I want to reset it, I got to toggle the timer block off. Really this is the only important timer block, and all this thing does is it keeps running the script every second, and the script basically figures out what position the welding head should be at next, and positions it, and then exits. And that literally, that script only runs for, we're talking, a few milliseconds. It doesn't run for very long. And then it's basically setting the max limit and min limit, and either extending or retracting. And then the game just kind of takes over and positions the piston at the stops that it's been set by the max limit and min limit. And then by the time the script runs again, it does the next position. Now, how does it know where to go? I'm actually plugging in custom data into each of the pistons. If I were to access this, go to my pistons, you can see I'm plugging data in here. There's a little bar, a little pipe symbol. The 0 means it goes from 0 to 5. That means the position of that axis, and the 1 is the direction. So 1 means extend, 0 means retract. And if I were to look at the Y piston, I see something similar. And if I go ahead and reset this now, put it back in the starting position, and then click this button. All this button really does is starts this timer. It actually turns this timer on. That's all it does. And all the timer does, if we look at the timer real quick here, all the timer does is runs the script and then restarts the same timer. Now, I have some stuff in here for activating the welder. That isn't necessarily needed. You could just turn on the welder and leave it on. In theory, it should work. But I'll run this again. Now, you can actually see the 3, the pipe, and the 1. Those are the custom data values that I'm actually writing to the piston blocks. So that's how it's keeping track of where it was last. And I think it works pretty well. And I'm going to abort this right here. So if I hit that button, it'll stop it. Then I can hit this button again. It'll reset. And then I can start it again if I need to. Pretty cool, huh? Alright. Well, that is it for this video.